2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
My toxic relationship just ended. How do I reclaim my life?
Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery Podcast with the Therapy Brothers. We're brothers, we're therapists, and we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
What's up, Tyler?
What's going on, Brandon? How you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent. Just living the dream.
You say that every time. What's the dream this week?
Well, hey, I'm gonna out myself, but my Utes, man.
Hey, there you go.
Pac-12 champions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to the basketball game on Thursday. We beat the number 4 team. And for Utah basketball to do something good,
that's massive.
That's rare.
They're not the Utes of old.
But then to take it to USC on Friday, it was a fun game to watch.
Right, and you probably already bought tickets for the Rose Bowl, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm heading down. Penn State, that's a good opponent. And looking forward to it. So, yeah. Living the dream. Life is good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into it, Brandon, shall we?
Let's do it. Emily, welcome to the show.
Hello.
It's good to have you here. If you could just give us a little bit of background, what's going on with you, and then just ask away.
All right. So back in November of 19, I met an amazing man who was everything any little girl dreams of, the fairy tale. So about 2 years in, I learned of his infidelity. For the last 4 years, it has been on and off trying to make it work. Numerous more affairs. We had subscribed to the workshop, the Beyond Enough workshop. Tried that. Essentially, about 2 months ago, we got back together again after a summer apart. Both tried seeing new people, didn't work out. We just really loved each other. So we came back together. It was 4 weeks. That was not fun. He wanted to jump back in as if nothing had ever happened, that we had nothing to heal from. Thought his disclosure of everything over the last 6 years was going to be enough to just get it off his chest. And well, I didn't handle it great. We are now apart, but I'm struggling to figure out where to go from here. was definitely very broken emotionally. And it hasn't been easy. So I guess what I would like to know is, how do you pick up the pieces and how do you move on?
Great questions. Emily, can you talk just a little bit and I don't know if you can put words to this or not, but when you say pick up the pieces, what are the things that have been shattered or broken over the last several years inside of you or in your life that you feel like are the pieces that need to be picked up?
I have never been like an angry person. I've always tended to be more positive. And I give the benefit of the doubt a lot. Now I trust nobody. I think everybody has an ulterior motive. I really have a hard time trusting, like, even like my family, I'm close to them, what they like their advice, because I don't trust. Like when it comes to, taking care of yourself, healing yourself, all that, I don't know where to even start anymore. I don't know if I'm answering your question. I'm sorry.
I think you are.
I just feel like there's an ulterior motive behind everyone and everything, that it's like, I don't know where to go.
It feels like, so if I'm hearing you right, there's a few things you said there. One is that you've lost, in a certain sense, you've lost some level of faith in humanity, maybe a little bit of your innocence in terms of like the goodness in people.
Mm-hmm.
You're more skeptical of people. You've lost your ability to trust in relationships, and that's had an impact on other important relationships that have typically been pretty trustworthy with you. It sounds like you've lost a piece of yourself in terms of being happy-go-lucky, and you're feeling more full of anger than you're used to or than you like to be, almost like you're not being yourself right now. Those are the three things that I think I heard you say. Is that right?
That's just spot on.
Okay. And there's probably a myriad of other things that if we were to sit and break down the actual losses that you've incurred as a result of this relationship, it might feel even overwhelming to look at how many of those things are there, even if you can't put words to it. And so I imagine you're probably feeling a little bit overwhelmed as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this was like my one true love. It's hard to fathom like the future without him. Because, like he's who I dreamed of growing old with. And it's like it was toxic on many levels. Like it turned into every conversation we'd had would just be an argument and would always go back to, well, you cheated on me. And just like letting go of that. And then me, myself, feeling dumb for continuing it for so long.
Is that part of the issue here, is feeling stuck because you, on one hand, there's a part of you that loves so deeply and doesn't want to lose. On the other hand, there's like, it's really not healthy, and that he never really actually fully chose you because he always had these other things going on. Is that part of the problem here, is figuring out how to manage that disparity?
For sure. For sure. I mean, I am a smart woman. I just really believed everything he said. And I believed that, changes were going to be made, that, he would do therapy, he would do the work, we would figure it out. And like, it was real for me. And it's hard to have the idea that it maybe wasn't as real for him.
What does that mean, if that's true? If it wasn't as real for him, what does that mean to you or about you?
It means I feel fooled. That maybe I had the blinders on and just like overlooked too much of what the reality was, because I really, really loved him.
And what does it mean if you're foolish?
Great question. What does that mean?
Does it mean you're more vulnerable?
Perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. Brandon, I've cut you off twice now. Go ahead.
No, it's good. I like where you're going, because I think this right here, Emily, where Tyler's kind of led you, is some real opportunity for some self-reflection and some growth. But you're going to have to overcome your shame in order to actually take a look at it, because we can say, was he a toxic partner? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Were you in love with him? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Was he good at fooling you? I don't know, because, I mean, I deal with addicts all the time, and like some of them are really good and some of them think they're good and they're not. But you know what? He was good at fooling you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for you to stop and say, like, what fear, what desperation, what shame made me overlook or not connect to my intuition and my gut, and to keep going forward with this relationship? I think that's an important question to ask. What do you think, Emily?
I think in a way, the way I did love him, it scares me that I will never find that again.
If he called you today and said, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. And I want you back. Please just take me back. Now, give me an honest answer, Emily. If he was contrite and he was acting humble and he was just saying how amazing you are, what would your answer be?
I'll be honest with you. I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it's silly. Everybody has potential. Like, and I don't know if I fell in love with the potential he has instead of like what is really present. But we've been there before, where I, like, just a year ago, we went for a 3-month break, and I tried to hold strong and say, no, this is really, like, this isn't good for either of us. Like, I can't do it. It was really hard. But then eventually, like, he was persistent enough that I was right back into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I really, like, in October, when he again was like, I am madly in love with you. You're what I want. You're who I want to be with forever. I was like, okay, but I need you to find a specialized therapist, and I really need you to make some changes here. And he then reverted back to, I don't have any problem. My only problem is you're not nice to me. So then that became another cycle of ugliness.
But you had a boundary there that actually your desperation didn't take over for love or anything like that. You had a boundary there that said, I need you to be healthy for me to be here with you. And then in the end, it ended up him turning the tables and throwing it back on you. Right.
Yeah.
So you did have some level of boundary there. Yet at the same time, when I ask you today, if you were to, there's this part of you that's like, yes, okay, I'll take you back. Like, let's do this. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing, Emily, is that you use the word, I'm worried that I'm foolish. But what I'm actually hearing is that you've been in a pattern of, it's not foolishness, it's desperation for love. Mm-hmm. And on some way, he scratched that itch in some ways at some point in your relationship. It just came at the cost of a whole bunch of his dishonesty, a whole bunch of manipulation, a whole bunch of him coming back and saying, I promise that I'm a changed man, even though the very, in the same instant, he's probably already still cheating on you again. But it's not foolishness. People would call it foolishness, but I think where we really want to look at is what's at the core of the desperation. That's it. That's the issue. It's not that you're stupid or foolish. It's that why is that void there that's so willing to overlook the things that you knew were there? You've played it out. You've played it out enough over the last 5 years to already know that if he called you, we already know this would be the case. If he called you today and said, hey, take me back. I'm a changed man. I promise. And you're like, well, go to therapy. He's like, no, I don't need therapy. But I am a changed man, and you should trust me wholeheartedly right now. It's not foolishness. There's longing in there. There's desperation. And you would go, okay, I know I'm going to find something tomorrow, but I'm going to enjoy it today and pretend like he's choosing me.
Yeah.
What does it do when it feels like he's choosing you for you?
Oh, like the love I felt from him was like everything. Like it was comfort, it was security, it was like just amazing. Like Disney princess fairy tale.
And you've never had that before?
Oh, no.
No. Because I would say maybe he was good at the Twitter patient part of like getting you there. Mm-hmm. But you have settled for scraps from him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like he can get your heart fluttering. Yes. And get that heart fluttering. But when it comes to actual love, when it comes to actual commitment, partnership, consistency, and intimacy, it sounded like he sucked at that. Am I off, Emily?
It was very inconsistent. I remember he used to tell me often that I can give you a half of a third of my time. I mean, we're both parents from previous relationships, like didn't live together, like kind of had our own like life outside of each other too. But like every other week when we didn't have our kids and it was him and I together, it was like fireworks. So
in some way,
go ahead, Tyler.
I was just going to say, in some ways, I'm hearing the same kinds of things that I hear when I'm treating someone who's got like a heroin addiction. Yeah. Where they went and they've found this thing and it just solved all their problems and it made them feel so good that they spend the rest of their life trying to chase down the same feeling from the same place, and it never quite produces itself. And eventually what it leads to is a hollow, empty shell of a life instead of that Twitter-pated amazing feeling that you felt the first time. It's like, how do you help your body's system? How do you help your heart system to realize that there was a fleeting piece of that, but that it's really, the more that you pursue it from the same place without any changes taking place, the more you're actually setting the stage for the loss of yourself and your identity and the very thing that you actually are claiming to want.
It's interesting that you, correlated that, because I've said a million times that I feel like he is just a really bad drug for me.
Yeah. Well, and in some ways you're treating it just like a lot of heroin addicts that I work with do, is where they'll actually go and they'll get clean and sober for a little while just so they can try to chase that high again by going back to it after they get clean and sober. And it sounds like your relationship has been that, where it's like, I'm taking a break. And then he comes back and he's like, but I really love you. Okay, let's go for it. Oh, damn it. Like,
that's exactly
this again. It's like, oh, because if I take a break, maybe the high will come back. And it's like, no, what I really need to do is I need to actually have what Brandon noticed in you, is that you started to set some boundaries. And it sounds like that's going to be part of the direction, is getting you to a boundaried place in that relationship. But in order to do that, we have to get down to the desperation again to figure out how to help soothe that.
Emily, I'm concerned for you. I'm concerned that you'll fall back into a relationship with him, or you'll fall back into a relationship with a person just like him. Mm-hmm. And unless something gets corrected, something gets really some real work on your part, that's probably going to happen. And so, I'm going to tell you where you are foolish here. Okay. Mm-hmm. You're foolish to believe that you don't deserve all of it, that you don't deserve all that Twitter patient, along with the trust and the love and the healthy commitment from an actual partner who's there for you. Like, mm-hmm. You deserve that. You are worthy of that. And there's something inside of you that says, I don't know if I'm fully worthy of that. So I'll take what I get from him, which is great. And I love that. And it's so good. And I'll just take that at least. Yeah. Because I don't know if I'm worthy of all of that. And I don't know if I can create a relationship with a partner like that because I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that. So I'll go settle for a more unhealthy person as long as I get those good feelings, right?
Yeah.
If we compare it to drug addiction, a drug addict is using because they're using to cope with emotions and all these things, but deep down, they're trying to find love. They're trying to find worthiness. They're trying to find okayness. And they're using this drug to feel okay for a split second because deep down, they don't feel okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go with this comparison with you, Emily, it's that same thing. If we really look at what's underneath why you keep falling back into this relationship, it's something about you that you don't believe is okay. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like I want to say that I deserve somebody who's going to be honest with me and isn't going to look at every waitress or bartender or so forth, like friend any woman he can on social media to strike up a conversation and flirt with the idea. Like, I don't want that. And I mean, with him, I was just always like, oh, okay, like he'll change. He'll stop doing this. He'll see my worth. But like, it just never came. And that's hard to swallow. And you're right. I am trying to be more boundaried and say, hey, this is not the life I want to live.
Right.
I mean, I believe people can change if they want to. I just don't think he wants to.
Right.
So I'm slowly and painfully getting to that point where, like, I don't answer every phone call anymore, but, I do make the phone call sometimes myself because, like, I miss him. But then, like when we have a conversation, I'm reminded, like, okay, this is why we're not together. It's helpful, but then damaging at the same time.
Yes. Could I ask you, Emily, kind of going back to what Brandon was saying? It sounds like what Brandon was saying you agree with in your own life, that there's some element of you that has felt almost like you're going to settle for whatever you can find because there's a piece of you that doesn't believe you're worthy of all of it. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that that's probably pretty accurate.
Could I just ask, if you were to sit with that for a minute and just see what rises to the surface, where did you learn that you weren't worthy of all of it?
So I was a young mom. I had twins at the age of 18. And
wow.
That was a very rough relationship as well. And when I was trying to get out of it, because it was very abusive, dangerous, abusive, I had asked my dad for help. And he said, you're going to be alone your whole life because nobody is going to want you with 2 kids.
Oh, wow.
So I definitely think that even though I don't necessarily think that's true, and like that does sit in the back of my mind from time to time.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
It does. Which, I'm aware of all of this. I'm aware that like I am successful. I have my life together in most aspects besides relationships. It's just, this is one area I really struggle to pull out of.
Coming from your dad, basically, you're damaged goods. I mean, coming from your dad a little bit, like, I can see why that would kind of cement home. I got to kind of take what I can get, like for somebody to love me. Yeah. Ouch. That, know, it's not true in your head. This is not true. I mean, our little brother just married a woman with 3 beautiful kids, and they're happily married, and it's beautiful. Right. So I can tell you that all day long, like that's possible. But in your heart, you're like, nope, I don't believe that I am okay. There's something broken about me.
Yeah. That's hard to speak, to be honest with you. I can't I'm a little in disbelief. I just shared that, but that is definitely the, I think, driver behind it. And I think you're totally spot on that I do settle just because it's like that self-worth thing.
Emily, what's going on inside of your body right now as you just said those things as we're talking about this?
Oh, I could totally burst into tears. I'm a little nauseated, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Feel sick to your stomach?
Uh-huh.
And what are the tears? Are they sad or angry or vulnerable? What are they?
Oh, totally vulnerable. Like that was hard to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. What does it say about you when you say those things? What does it feel like?
I go to the idea of my teenage daughters and I'm completely mortified if anyone were to ever say something so terrible to them.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, it's so crappy.
Yeah. Emily, have you done any work for yourself around these specific traumas that came at the hands, which is interesting, not just of your ex, but of your father?
Not really. I mean, I just started seeing a trauma therapist about a month ago, so it's still pretty new. I mean, it's a huge relief when I'm able to meet with her and just talk it out, and like that is helpful. But I think it's a long road. I think I have 34 years to try to make amends with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With the experience that you just shared, with the way that, and I know our listeners can't see you, but the way your body language looked as you told the story of that instance with your father, man, that's a whole body experience for you. And I think something, if you have the opportunity, something like ART would be a specifically phenomenal treatment for that specific memory. And I think it could potentially have a massive change in the way that you're viewing yourself, your current relationship, and yourself inside of the past relationship as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you can go to a trauma therapist and you can talk trauma, and that's okay. But something that could get your whole being involved, a targeted treatment like that could be really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting, Emily, like, we're getting somewhere. I loved how you voiced your vulnerability and how you wanted to cry and how, but this is what's fascinating is you had protective parts all around this vulnerable trauma of yours. It took Tyler and I a while to kind of like, okay, let's like try to get down to it here. That okay. And there it is, right? And those protective parts will, in many ways, keep that trauma locked inside of you, because it's so vulnerable and so scary to actually go down to these most painful things. And getting into this relationship that has been so tumultuous is really a symptom in many ways of this, right? Of this trauma. And so for you to go back and do this work, it will shift the way that you show up in the world. So when you realize I'm not damaged goods, I'm not unlovable, and I am beautiful and I'm worthy of love, a man's going to come around who's unhealthy and they're going to say, hey, we're going to try to break Emily down because she'll keep going along with stuff with me. And when you have that confidence that's like, no, like you're good looking, sure, but sorry, buddy, like it's not going to work for me unless you really show up as a man for me. He's going to go away and you're going to track in somebody healthy down the road. Right. And so, but this is what needs to be addressed. Do you see what we're talking about? Mm-hmm. We can talk about how to handle your ex and what to do and how you should do this and how you should do that with him or whatever, but we need to get down to the core of things.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon, you said, that idea of the different parts of Emily that are protecting her, there's one of those parts is actually the focus on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, if we can keep the focus on him and how he's done so many things wrong, even though I would take him back tomorrow, that part is actually serving a purpose because it's trying to prevent that feeling of vulnerability from this part that kind of rose up that you just shared that you felt so vulnerable about.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those parts need attention. They need to be seen. They need to be validated. They need to be valued. Like that part that wants to focus on him is trying to do a job for you, right? And it's okay that it's trying to do a job for you, even though it's also going to keep you stuck if he's the one that stays in the driver's seat.
Right.
Emily, are you getting more than you bargained for by coming on the podcast here?
Oh my goodness, I totally didn't expect this.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I really appreciate the insight because I think deep down, these are things that I knew about myself. I just don't know where to go with it. If any of my friends were in a relationship like this had been, there's no way I would be supportive of saying, hey, yeah, you really need to stick it out with this guy.
Try again. Come on. Yeah. No, you wouldn't say that. Yeah.
No, never. And, I think one big area of growth, there was almost like a threatening statement made about, I'll let everyone know how you are. And I said, that's okay. You can share whatever you think anybody else needs to hear about me. It doesn't change the fact that this is where we're at. And I don't care what others think because I know the truth. I lived it. Mm-hmm. And historically, I probably would have caved and been like, oh my gosh, no, you're right. I was terrible and whatever. But there was growth in that aspect that, I know that I wasn't perfect. I totally reacted. I said mean things. I wasn't perfect by any means trying to handle everything that had happened between us, but I did get stronger in some sense where I'm not going to let you dictate my feelings all the time. And I know I deserve more. And I know I deserve a relationship that is faithful and honest. It's just, again, not attracting the same types and recognizing red flags for what they are and not thinking it's a carnival and it's going to be a fun ride because it's not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Emily, as you're talking, and Tyler, I'm going to ask you if you notice this, when you're speaking truth the way you are, when you're saying, I realize that this trauma is there and it's driven this, I wouldn't, my friends, there's no way I'd want them to be in a relationship like this. Your demeanor has shifted when you get honest with us. Mm-hmm. There's more confidence. Rather than trying to figure out how to navigate this thing that on a soul level is not good for you, mm-hmm. right? That you can feel your power more so as you speak right now than at the beginning even of this episode. Mm-hmm. So, Tyler, I don't know if you see that.
You can feel it in your voice. You can see it in your being. And as I'm thinking, there's a couple of thoughts that are coming to my mind when you're in a situation like the one you are currently is that that tendency to want to jump all the way back into a relationship the minute he says, hey, I'm trustworthy, even though he hasn't done anything to show trustworthiness. There's a couple of things that I think might be helpful here. And I'm going to use something called the relationship attachment model as the backdrop for this for a second. Okay. So mm-hmm. Relationship attachment model says that there's basically it focuses on 5 areas of a relationship. All right. The first area is how well do I know the person? The second area is how much can I trust the person? The third area is how much can I rely on the person? Fourth is how much can I commit to them? And then the fifth is how physical can I get with this person? And what the relationship attachment model says is that the safest way to be in a relationship is to make sure that know is higher than trust, is higher than rely, is higher than commit, is higher than touch. So meaning I should only be as trusting and committed and physically in touch with a person at the level that is as high as I know them or less. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And what I think most people end up doing in relationships, especially when they kind of are in this place of like, oh, I want to make sure it works out okay, is they actually put things a little bit backwards, and they go really high on the physical touch, and maybe they commit more than they should because they really can't trust. And that commitment higher than the trust level, or the physical touch higher than the trust level, is what actually causes the setup for this pattern to continue to go on. So if he called you up tomorrow and said, I'm all in, 100%, let's get back at this, you can trust me. And you're like, what have you done to change? And he's like, I don't need to change. Like, I figured it out. Or he says, oh, I cut off ties with some woman now yesterday, so I'm in it with you now today. You're going to need the time to actually build trust before you do anything in terms of relying, committing, or touching.
Mm-hmm.
And that, if you can hold yourself to those standards, that buys time for the relationship to either heal, but most likely what it will do is it'll actually let him go find somebody else, because you were the rebound off of whatever else he was already chasing.
That was essentially what happened this last go around, was that it was, I'm all in, let's do this. And I said, hey, I need to see some change first. I'm not like, I am working on myself. I am doing this, this, and this. I'm not seeing other people. I am committed to you as much as I can be. And it took about 4 weeks for it to fall apart, because it wasn't like he wanted, like, you know, the public and like being around, being public and whatever else. And I couldn't, nor did I want to, because I don't trust you. So very similar to what you just described with.
Great work on your part.
What's that?
That's great work on your part to hold those boundaries, even if it was 4 weeks.
It was 4 weeks. And then I decided that I needed, like, he needed to go to therapy, and I wasn't going to give any more than what I was giving at the time, unless I saw effort elsewhere. Because I told him that this internal come to Jesus moment you had isn't visible, and I can't trust your words. So, like, you need to do something, something objective. And it just...
The interesting thing about what you're saying is that you're saying stuff about him doing those things, but what you're doing is you're taking care of yourself by saying, I can't engage unless I'm with somebody who's actively pursuing change. Yeah. So it's really more about you valuing yourself by saying, hey, look, unless there's some change happening and there's some commitment that I can see and trust, I'm not going to be able to lean myself back in. Like, that's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think what I have learned from all of this is that, you know, like, as we spoke before, there were these little inklings of trauma in my life that it became familiar and comfortable having somebody who added to that, because that's what I knew. And I don't have to live like that. I think boring is okay sometimes.
Emily, have you... sorry to cut you off.
No, it's...
I wanted to... Have you ever had a hangnail?
Yep.
Yeah. Tyler's had a lot of them. He chews his nails a lot. So he's got a ton of hangnails and stuff.
Undiagnosed anxiety.
But like a really bad hangnail, it hurts like a little bit when you play with it. But then it like really sucks when you pull it off. It like can maybe rip some skin, and it can really hurt. And you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here, because there's a legitimate amount of grief that you need to walk through in order to actually have your heart feel good and at peace with being done with this relationship. And so it's like, well, I don't want to walk through the grief. Grief sucks. So I'm going to hold on to hope that he calls me and that he, right. But on the other hand, you know that this isn't good for you. And on the other hand, you know, you need to pull that off and start to heal. You know, I was working with somebody, and they were dating a really toxic person, and we'd have sessions, and she'd be like, "Yep, I'm breaking up with him today." Breaking up. 2 weeks later, yeah, we've been together the last week and a half. And then we have a session, be like, I'm breaking him up with him today. And it's like, and I started saying, you're going to get back together. And not until you're ready to actually deal with the pain and the grief of the loss of this relationship will you actually be ready and done to do this. And when you have this other thing there as well of like, when I do go through the grief of losing him, and I feel like there's nothing else there because I'm not lovable, because like I'm not going to be chosen by anybody, then why would I go walk through grief, walk through pain to then be lonely? Right? And essentially that's the choice that I believe that's the healthy choice for you to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe you might be lonely for a time, but that is the healthy choice for you to make. And you might find God in those places of pain and loneliness. You might find more friends that you never knew were there as support. You might find an amazing man, like who knows what you'll find. We don't know.
You might find more of yourself.
Yeah.
Find yourself even more. But it's easier. Like the initial knee-jerk response is just don't face the pain, fall back into these patterns, hope that he calls me today. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Pluck it off, Emily. Get the tweezers out. Yeah.
Emily, we're kind of running into time here. Where are you at emotionally? Have we answered your question?
Honestly, I feel a little bit of relief and empowered because I can pluck off a hang now. It's just
Yes.
I don't know how, but I have to, obviously.
Have those boundaries. Do your own trauma work.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. That's going to translate into better boundaries, even if it takes some time.
Yes.
So thank you, Emily, for your willingness to come on the show today and to be so vulnerable and share, for our listeners, you're sitting there.
Thanks for letting us take you there, Emily.
Yeah, seriously. And for our listeners, you're probably sitting there cringing, going, man, if I was in her shoes, that would be so scary for me. Throw her a shout out, send us a comment, put a review up on the Apple iTunes or whatever. Emily, thank you. What you've shared is you're not alone. This is something that's really common with a lot of people that we work with. So thank you for being the person to.
And one last thing, Emily, give yourself some time to do some self-care today. Like if you need to go have a good cry, go have a good cry. If you need to make a phone call, if you need to go watch a funny movie, whatever you need to do, love you today. Prove to yourself that you're lovable and that you deserve love, and love yourself first. And thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you both as well.
All right. Have a good one.